Nightbringers by the Black Dahlia Murder, which is a band that if a 5 Reasons video was done about them, one of the reasons might be that they kind of pull off the same album every time. Now, that would be a very visible minority, while the majority of us say, yeah, you're right. They kind of do pull off the same album every time. A good album. Something that a lot of bands might not be able to, say or claim. But the Black Dahlia Murder, there's a good chance that they could actually do so. There's not really too much in the way of flaws within their discography, and they've really not had to do too much in order to achieve this as far as shifting up the playing field or changing up their sound. With Nightbringers, it's even more evident considering they strip things down even further. They make this a little bit more simple whenever it comes to time frame. 9 tracks and 33 minutes means that this is an album that blisters by, especially whenever you consider that the Black Dahlia Murder's death metal styles do have some root also in thrash and some of that aggressive metal that we have seen throughout the course of heavy metal's history. So with 9 tracks, they really have to leave an impression, and they need to do so immediately. So Widowmaker aims to do that right out of the gate, and this 3-minute and 21-second long opener is able to do so by opening up with a bit of a hush, only to roar to its conclusion, really showcasing those powerful riffs that the band's able to produce, the just furious growl scream that you get from their vocalist, and just overall, the body that you get does not leave any stone unturned. It's completely uncompromising. It steamrolls over you. And so Widowmaker immediately leaves an impression right there after track 1 completes and heads toward track 2, which is of God and Serpent, of Spectre and Snake, which is an early highlight of an album that really, it's hard to choose highlights considering there are a lot of songs that really feel like they fit that mold. That tight compression that they have, that sort of very limited and narrow window of time that they've allotted themselves, all of these tracks except for one are under the 4-minute mark, really means that they have to jam things packed tight with riffs and with every idea that they can possibly throw at them. And right here with Of God and Serpent, of Spectre and Snake, they definitely do that, and this is about as close as they're going to get to the 4-minute mark until track number 9, and they use those extra precious seconds just to devour you with even more heaviness and just with even more uncompromising brutality. And giving that that this has those couple of extra seconds, it kind of lets that lead into Matriarch and the title track Nightbringers feel all the more impressive. And so we have with us going into the second half of this disc. Yeah, it's right. We're near the second half of this disc already, just after 4 tracks. We have 4 songs that are solidly displaying that the Black Dahlia Murder is a group that has a very good center on its sound, that has a very good knowledge of what it is, and is now kicking things at all cylinders, even throwing in the occasional furious solo, one that perhaps may not last very long. It does not need to. It is instead one that blisters through in order to deliver the maximum amount of carnage. Jars, and then going into Kings of the Night World, really start the second half of this disc off on a powerfully positive note. Both of these tracks, their combined total not even reaching 7 minutes in length, but both feeling extremely individual. The one thing that this album may suffer from is the fact that a lot of the same tones do exist, and that's just sort of the consequence of having your sound very well honed and tailored. That's exactly what this album and this band currently has. So for the first 8 tracks, you're going to notice uncompromising brutality. There's no real room for air. The only air that you got was the couple of seconds that you got during Widowmaker, where it was rising into the track itself. Overall, this is an album that does not stop for anybody. However, The Lonely Deceased, which is track number 9, does something a little bit different. It does eclipse the 5-minute mark, but only by 6 seconds, and does use that space a little bit more openly. Now, this is the one place where I will offer a little bit of a complaint, and it's the fact that I feel that this is a track that easily could have broken up some of the monotony in the middle portion of the album and then had another track like it at the end. Kind of give each end point of a side something to really deliver by. And also, what it does is that it does throw into consideration that small amount of variety. All The Lonely Deceased does that's really all of that different from the first opening 8 tracks off of this album is that it does take a moment about halfway through the song to express a little bit of calm, before furying its way to a finale. Now, something like that may seem like just a very small and very basic, almost track extending element. However, it is something that does give the composition a little bit more room to breathe. It also does open up quite a bit of memory whenever it comes to how this album ends. It's not necessarily a great reflection as to where this album has been. Now, I like the fact that this is a disc that really pulls no punches, so that complaint is kind of being offset a little bit with something that I really enjoy about this disc. However, I feel like the Black Dahlia Murder had a little bit more time left in them. A 10th track would have certainly done them some wonders in this particular case. The album at times almost feels too short, which is kind of strange to say, as traditionally I really enjoy albums that don't overstay their welcome, and this one certainly doesn't. An album that I could say is very comparable to this is Burning Bridges by Arch Enemy from the late 1990s. That was an album that was very short as well, and very, very good, but just felt like that there needed to be a little bit more material. It's an album that you hate to see end, and it feels a little bit kind of off-balanced for it being over as quickly as it is. I feel that's kind of what NIGHTBRINGERS has. It's one of its flaws. It's still going to go down as perhaps one of the better, if not the best, Black Dahlia Murder album. However, I feel like it's going to have that reputation where we just wish that there was a little bit more, or it would have at least restored the balance a little bit more. But this is an album that's chock full of riffs and aggressiveness, and that's exactly what you want from a Black Dahlia Murder album, because it's exactly what you expect from a Black Dahlia Murder album. Some may say that they saw this disc coming, that it's not really done enough, to really exhibit that they have any sort of maturity process going on. I kind of disagree with that. I think this is a great album that stands alone for what it's worth. Have the next album be the one where they worry about pushing their sound a little bit further. But right now, NIGHTBRINGERS is exactly what we need. For right now, this is a disc that I certainly would recommend. It's a 23 out of 30. Blistering pace, fantastic overall metal. Just wish that there would have been a little bit more here to talk about, and I wish that there would have been just a tad more variety to sort of break up the monotony. Two very minor gripes. I want to know what you think. What do you think about NIGHTBRINGERS by the Black Dahlia Murder? Let me know down there in the comments below. And if you haven't signed up for Twitch yet, because that's where we're going to be heading for streaming, and there's going to be a podcast over there. Really, a lot of the interactivity of this channel is going to start to migrate over that direction. Then there is a link in the description box below that you should certainly check out and get yourself over there. That way you can join in on the fun. I'm Coverkillernation. I'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.